to share some of what we have going on in St. Mary's. I am the youth minister for 3 Catholic parishes of St. Mary's, and we have a program that's been in place around 12 years, so it's a mature program in some sense. We're not just starting out, yet it's a young program. We have grown by leaps and bounds in the past year, and the future looks so bright, and we're on a trajectory to do even more, and not only to do more, but to do what we do better. We're always getting better and refining what it is that we do. What I'll be sharing with you today over the next 2 hours, just kidding, over the next 8 minutes or so, and it really will be brief, it's just a dip of the toe in the stream, as it were. I'm not going to present a programmatic, hierarchical view of things, but I'm going to give you a smattering of what we're up to right now, and I think it will give you the flavor of where we're coming from, what we're trying to accomplish. And before I begin, I would just like to mention that we are a youth ministry outreach for teenagers. And yes, obviously the central component of that is evangelism and discipleship and growing in the faith. But you know, you can't just go from 0 to 60. You don't just pull someone off the street and hand them a rosary. It turns out what you need to do is to support the entire human person. And that's socially, academically, spiritually, intellectually, and we feed into all of that. Our youth program is a Catholic youth program, and yet it is non-denominational. All youth from every faith are welcome to our events. We have certainly many Catholic youth, we have non-Catholic youth, probably some who are finding their way and may not really hail from any particular direction. We're there to support all teens and to support them as entire persons. So I'll begin by highlighting one of our most interesting outreaches, iCafe. It is a cafe, a coffee shop for teens. We have an after-school component to this, where when school lets out each day, kids will stop by. Maybe they have practice at 3:30. School has ended at 2:30. Where do you go in between time, especially if your family lives kind of a few minutes away, a little farther than it takes to walk? Well, I've asked some of the kids, I said, what do you do when iCafe is not open? And they say things like, well, we just walk around the block over and over again, or these kind of things that 8th graders and sophomores in high school do. So we're really pleased to have a wonderful, safe, affirming place for them to be, where they can grow in fellowship. We always have 2 volunteers from the parish there to monitor the room, and to not only monitor the room, but to say, hey, how was your day today? Maybe you see a kid studying. We have snacks for sale. And if the kid is working hard on his homework and he probably doesn't have a dollar that day to buy his snack, they'll probably just make some popcorn and give him some popcorn. So let them all know that somebody there really cares. We're happy to see them, and typically they will bring more friends in as time goes on. So really well-received outreach. This is iCafe. It has a lot of involvement from the community. Obviously, here's 2 of the students. Here's Fuzzy Cap Yellow. She used to own a sign shop, and so she recently designed this great new sign for us that adorns our sidewalk every day. Here's Brother Michael. He's going to be ordained as a priest next year, so he stops in. Bonnie Pearson, she's a local mom. She has daughters who were in cheerleading, and it works out for her to come by every Tuesday, and she is one of the family of people who come together and just sit there at the iCafe and talk to the kids and share some snacks with them. And I don't know who this is, but he has a lot of fun there as well. Will you dance, please? Thanks. We have Wednesday night youth socials. Gone are the days, I think, of sort of inviting kids in for a prayer meeting. That happens as well. But sort of right off the street into the prayer meeting. Again, a lot of kids just want to hang out. And that's important too for a teenager of that age. And so Wednesday nights are basically a great hangout where the youth come in, we eat some pizza, maybe watch a movie now and then, play some pool. It's really pleasant, very interesting time. And then we also offer a range of everything from prayer meetings on Tuesday where they can share their faith as teens. It's very different than a lot of adults sitting around sharing faith. Also model rocket building on Mondays. Tutoring. We have a physicist who volunteers, and a kid came in last year and he was having problems in math, particularly in some of the upper level math, and Well, there's Dan the physicist who was there to help him. Really cool connections that are forming there. And some of the most interesting connections take place among the volunteers themselves. Some of these people haven't ever taken an interest in becoming involved in the community, particularly working with youth. Particularly, how many people can live entire lives, you know, in their living room and talking to their husband or their wife, and it doesn't really go outside of that. Suddenly, in iCafe, people from very different walks of life, someone who's 80 years old, someone who's 20 years old, suddenly they're sitting there and they're talking while the kids are doing their homework, and magical things happen. You know, they make connections, and it turns out they usually plan, what do we get involved in next? And so it just deepens involvement in the church, and by extension, into the community. A lot of the time there are sports in the area, and again, these are kids from other towns. These aren't even kids from St. Mary's. But when the basketball game starts at 5 o'clock, they need to be somewhere. And it's so pleasant for them, the kids, and their parents to join us in iCafe and play some foosball, enjoy some hot chocolate. It's just people enjoying people in a very safe and warm environment.
My son there, I think.
Is it really? Isn't that funny?
And basketballs upstairs.
See, there are basketballs upstairs. And it becomes the 6 degrees of separation really comes into effect with all the connections that come about it through iCafe. Of course, we have fellowship. This is a Super Bowl party. Some local kids came in, and maybe they wanted to gather together. A lot of the adults joined together. We had county fair winning chili. So it's just the stuff of life happening here. It's a great organization. Obviously, there's a lot of smiling faces here, and that's what we love to see. Of course, there's a very great spiritual component as well. We have a chapel right next door, and behind the chapel is a game room. So we have all sorts of different activities that take place. And on this particular day, a priest came in, and we engaged in a beautiful prayer service in commemoration of one of the spiritual holidays, which took place at that time of year. We also have dinners at the iCafe for our many volunteers, community building. We do not want to be the kind of people that when you see us, you say, oh boy, here he comes, he wants something. Right? I mean, and I'm sure all of us here who organize events and organizations, we become those people. Well, we're very conscious of not just being the people who always need something. We want to be the people who always have something for you as well. Come and share a beautiful dinner with us. And a lot of great fellowship takes place there. Mark Lisinski, he's been an instructor, a special education teacher for 30 years over in Kane. And he joins us on Mondays, and he builds model rockets with the kids. And they come together constructively and use their minds, and they engage in conversation. And so it's a very positive place to be for kids. More of that fellowship. When we meet, we eat. Also, what we found out is this is Mike and Jen Gelsick. They own Howard Hanna Realty, I think, in the Diamond downtown. And this is just one example of how an organization like this casts a wide net into the community. And suddenly, we see people coming forth, donating tools, time, talent, treasure, intelligence, planning, whatever skills they have. And it's a wonderful thing to be feeding back and forth with the community and have their input as well. You want people to be actively involved. We have a pool tournament well, apparently it used to be Thursdays, now it's Wednesdays. Every July, the weather is awful. The kids have been in school for 6 months. This is a great release. We had record-breaking attendance last year of 35 kids on some of the nights. And we expect this year probably to hit 50 kids on some of the nights. It is not about quantity, I assure you. But from time to time, it's great that you're breaking records, reaching out to new people, that you are doing something which is resonating with, happens to be resonating with the kids. And so that's iCafe. We run trips, pilgrimage trips. Paula Eddy, her daughter is here somewhere.
Yeah, that sassy girl in the middle, on the top.
We have a great time going on different trips. On some of these trips, in addition to being spiritual events, this was an event at this recent Steubenville Youth Conference, which largely was a spiritual trip. But here was a speaker at that conference who actually gave a talk for graduated high school seniors. And he went over things like accepting credit cards when you're a freshman at college, and don't do it, offering perspective on keeping in touch with home. Again, feeding the entire person, intellectually, emotionally, and on a family level. We, myself, and all of the other volunteers, we make ourselves present throughout the community. We go to the games, we go to the shows, we go to the events. Don't invite me to dinner because I'll say yes. And we talk to people, and we meet people, and we network. And that's important as a representative of the youth. In our work to represent the youth, and it's not just me, it's all 50 adults, all 40 adults, whatever the number is right now who are involved. One of the primary things we do is to run a life team. We do that over at Queen of the World. We do that for about 7 months of each year, and we engage in a lot of different activities. It's very holistic. It's not just sit in a chair and we lecture. It's actually very immersive. There are skits, there are questions, small groups, these kind of things. We had a focus on bullying last year. We must cover a safe environment topic each year. I was so pleased to hear your comments on the bullying efforts that you guys are undergoing, engaged in. And we made a presentation on bullying last year, how to handle it, plugging people into good resources. That's something that is near and dear to our heart. This is the guy from the Christmas story, great example of bullying. And so that's Life Teen. It's a catechetical program, and again, supports the entire person. And lastly, as we wrap up here, as I go on the 17th minute of my 9-minute presentation, we are running a pumpkin patch this October. Again, on the surface, and it's on a certain level, it's a fundraiser. Much more importantly, it has about 25 adults making calls, signing up for schedules. The Kiwanis Club is participating in it. People have arranged for tents to the local tent company, I think Tent Express, to come in and set up tents for us. And a farmer is giving us thousands of corn stalks. And then the entire football team is going to be participating and helping us unload the pumpkins. It's that bond, that working towards a common goal that surpasses even any fundraising aspect. That's our true goal, and I'd say that as we stand here right now, it's going very well. And we're going to be right across the street from Queen of the World. We have a whole field, again, given to us, so we're very excited about it. We, lastly, run things like Mom's Appreciation Nights. To support the youth, it's often helpful to support their families. Are there any moms in here? Give yourselves a round of applause. It is very important to us not only to support the youth, but to support their families as well. Because at the end of the day, when the families and the mothers and the fathers are tied in with whatever's going on, hopefully they feel supported and can go home and deal with whatever their kids are going through. We offer free massages from a local masseuse, hot fudge sundaes. It's amazing. If you hear about one of these mob nights, join us. We run fundraisers. There's a lot of and if we could just advance, I think we'll end on this. One thing that's very important to us is smiles. Smiles are very important to us. It has to be joyful. It has to be affirming. It has to support people at every level. No matter who you are, where you're coming from, where you're at in life, we want to bring smiles to someone. And not just that, even, sure, any smile at any time is good. But something that goes deeper than the moment, something that supports people and forms them and assists them in living a genuinely good life, a life that they feel is a worthy adventure. And so, thank you very much for the chance to share this with you today. Again, I'm so happy to be here. I hope every one of you received one of our pens with our website on it. On our pens is our website.